Byzantium in 1337 is a shadow of its former self, boxed in by the rising Anatolian factions, dealing with severe internal decline and a dreadful economy that is about to collapse any moment. Can we bring it back and make it the greatest power despite all the problems? In today's EU5 video, let's find out. You guys requested this nation a bunch of times, and here we finally are as the Byzantine Empire. What I really like about our start is that we begin with 4 cabinet seats. It's gonna be very useful, and this is because we are an empire, plus we have the government reform that gives an additional seat. Now on to the bad stuff. We have quite a few privileges, and these are not very good. They increase the estate power, and they reduce maximum tax for the estate, as well as some other negative modifiers, such as us losing 20% morale from this one. And all of our estates have such privileges, which means that we are pretty much not getting any money from the estates, and as a result we're losing 21 ducats monthly right now. So to start fixing this, we're going to first of all raise our minting to the maximum. It's gonna temporarily raise our inflation, but we're gonna work on reducing it later on. We might as well automate our estate taxes. Legitimacy and stability are going to be insanely important, so we're going to raise the sliders to the maximum. We're going to not pay for diplo spending and minimize our fort maintenance as well. And we're going to need a little bit more money at the start, so we're going to take a couple of loans. Now, because we just raised our minting, it's also going to be useful for us to go with export ban law to increase the income by 33%. When it comes to actual automation, we will enable trade, close and open buildings, subsidize buildings, and we can go with replace generals. When it comes to admirals, I actually want to handpick them because we will be going for a high diplo stat, as that will increase the maritime presence the most. And our navy's objective is going to be patrol the seas, which is going to increase our maritime presence. Maritime presence is going to be important for us in this run, and we're going for the naval value, which is going to increase it as well as reduce the proximity cost with maritime presence. Now, a good thing is that our capital is an amazing location. Constantinople has 1 harbor capacity, so this means we also will have higher control in our coastal locations. And I really love when you start with a good capital and you don't have to move it, at least not in early game. Now, when it comes to research, we're going for some basic stuff: organized religion, guilds, monthly diplomats. We can go with institution growth, cost of food, cultural tradition, and later we will just return for more. For the rivals, again, just pick the first ones. It doesn't really matter that much because our first targets are going to be in Anatolia and in the Balkans anyways. We're not going after the big boys yet. Now, if we check our integration map mode, we can see that we have a bunch of provinces that are not integrated, and as a result, they have no control, which means we're not really getting anything from them. So we could begin to integrate them using our cabinet seats, but we can also, if we want to, release them as subjects. And that's what we're going to do. First of all, release a historical subject, Duchy of Thessaly. And because this is a historical subject, it will immediately have the lands integrated and high control. And this means that we will be getting more money from this immediately. Wish we could release another one like that in the south, but we will have to go with a custom one. And we will make this a fiefdom so that we don't have to assign a character. Now, there's a couple of locations left here, and we're also just going to quickly grant them to our new subject, seed location, and give these up so that we don't have to integrate them. I'm gonna begin improving relations with Thessaly, and also we will begin spying the Ottomans so that we have higher siege ability when we fight them, as that's going to be our first target if all goes well. Alright, now for the cabinet seats, first of all we're going for change societal values, and we're pushing for communalism because we have a lot of privileges that need to be revoked. It's gonna be important for us to get the 50% reduction that you get at the maximum. We're gonna appoint the character with the highest diplo skill, and I left this 100 diplo skill guy for this particular reason. For the next actions, we can go with stabilize country, and also let's improve our legitimacy with strength in government. We're gonna get crown members for these actions because having crown members will increase your crown power, and we don't even have 25%, which means we actually get some really bad debuffs. We desperately need to raise this. And with the last action, increase province control and go for a province next to our capital. We don't want to make this our capital because it already has 100 control, so it won't be as useful. We're not going to even hire the cabinet member for this one because we're going to temporarily lose this slot in the future. And now we also should promote one of our crown members to become the head of the cabinet, but this will cost 5 legitimacy. So first of all, what we're going to do is go to our estates and pick up a couple of privileges that we would need anyways. So we're going to clergy, and we're gonna pick up religious administration for the communalism value and stability, and picking up privileges costs 5 legitimacy, remember that. Now, for the second one, let's go with Religious Advisory Council for the efficiency of the cabinet. And when we're out of legitimacy, then we're going to promote our cabinet member to become the head of the cabinet. We will not lose legitimacy, and we will get bonuses that increase our crown power and even monthly legitimacy. So, after the month deck, we get the Turkish threat, which means we're going to lose 20 stability, and our pops in one of our locations in Philadelphia in the Anatolian area are going to be a little bit unhappy. We're actually going to be making quite a lot of money now, so this is going to be helpful because we're going to experience a lot of bad stuff and we'll probably need to pay a lot of money through events. We also will have a chance for 2 disasters to appear. One of them is the Succession Crisis, which has 5% chance to appear each month, and it would reduce our crown power, estate satisfaction equilibrium by quite a lot, and even block us from creating subjects. If you have 2 or less provinces, you can avoid this disaster, so you could release everything as subjects. But I figured we're gonna make this a true Byzantine experience and go through the disasters if they do fire, and if they don't, well, then we will consider ourselves lucky. The second disaster only has 1% chance to appear each month. Again, it has some bad debuffs, but if we will manage to restore our legitimacy, then we should be fine. Alright, and our Succession Crisis has fired. The bid for the Byzantine crown, we will again lose 20 stability unfortunately, and there's a bunch of traitors joining the crown pretenders. Now if we go to our new disaster, we actually have quite a few actions here. I actually did a little test run, and the action for commission a dynastic chronicle was not here, so this might be luck based. You might need to have a writer for this one, but let's try it out. It's going to cost 6.4 prestige. We can afford to lose prestige, it's not a big of a deal. We have this writer available, and look at that, 6.5 legitimacy. That's pretty good. Now these other actions are also really good because it's actually a good way to get privileges without paying legitimacy. Like for example, we can request help from the burghers, again just pay 5 prestige. And with the first option in this event, you can see that our pops will gain pop satisfaction, they will stop supporting crown members, the estate will get 20% satisfaction, and in return we have to grant one privilege that they request. Now it is allow trade center sponsorship, which is not a bad privilege overall. It increases the market attraction, so I'm completely fine with giving this out. Let's do it with clergy as well. This time we don't need to give a privilege and we get bonuses. And check this out guys, after doing this action, after some time passes, you will get events like this one. The Clerus rejects the pretender, and with the first option the event we get 21 legitimacy. Alternatively, we could be going for some pop satisfaction in our Orthodox provinces, which is also not bad, but legitimacy is priceless right now in early game, so we're picking this. We just continue getting events like that, and our legitimacy is already at 42, and it's still 1337. It's ridiculous. We're gonna request help from the nobles. This is a little bit more tricky because nobles already have a lot of power. Wait, did we already lose our 2 crown members? That's actually crazy. I didn't notice this, but we're gonna replace these guys. So yeah, we have 44% power, and it's very unlikely that we will get a good privilege that we will grant to them. It's a noble patronage of the arts. I am actually fine with this one, guys, because it does give them quite a lot of power, but innovativeness is something that we want to have, so I will go for it. If you get a bad privilege, then don't worry about it, just go with the second option. It only costs 5% estate satisfaction, which you will recover very fast, so don't be scared to reject their demands. Now for the foreign merchant privileges, I would recommend to go with the last option, because this way you will get a really nice modifier which increases your monthly legitimacy by 0.10 and a little bit of trade efficiency, and you don't really care about the relations with Genoa and Venice anyways, so I recommend this. This is what I was talking about earlier about temporarily losing the 4th slot in the cabinet. Reforming the universal judges of the Romans will allow us to reform our government reform that adds the cabinet seat, and now it will give us a little bit of additional crown power and less of a debuff for estate power from cabinet position, so it's not going to be as bad for us not to have crown members in the cabinet. This is going to take a little bit until it is enacted, so we will temporarily lose the slot. Yeah, events don't stop, guys. Bad events don't stop. We now have an earthquake And we could fund the repairs of Hagia Sophia work of art, but it would cost us 552 ducats. That is not happening. Our money situation is not the best, as you can see. So unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about it. We're gonna lose 20% prosperity, 10 legitimacy, and even religious influence. If you get events like demands of the Ottomans, it could be demands of the Arachnids, whatever. Just go with the second one. You don't want to create a truce with them. You don't want to lose money and legitimacy. And this way you actually get some legitimacy. There's actually no negative to this. Hey, that's actually pretty good. More legitimacy and stability through the event testing one's metal. There's actually some guy moving. Oh my god, those are absolutely insane stats. Okay, he would get recruited in the government for 10 years, so he would not be able to lead armies or navies, or we could get him as a general. Yeah, and unfortunately, he's in the clergy faction, which means we cannot appoint him as a general. If he's advertised as a potential general in the event, I personally think he always should be available. So I hope this will be changed in the future. I know that Byzantium is gonna have like the first DLC, so hopefully it's gonna be changed there with like a free patch alongside with it. That's actually mad annoying. That's just another 20 legitimacy. We'll take that, thank you very much. When it comes to these actions, we actually can take them, I believe, every year, because we will have this available in October again. So as long as we have the prestige, we can continue doing this. It's actually really good, especially with the burghers, because they have a lot of awesome privileges that you can take. The game is actually taunting us, guys. Like, this is ridiculous. Now our amazing quote-unquote 100 ability new general is gonna get influential grand domestic until his death, which increases efficiency in the cabinet by 10%. Well, it's good that we cannot have him in the cabinet or in the battlefield. Alright guys, it's time for our first parliament. We're gonna select whichever location that is not our capital, as we wanna stay decentralized at the beginning, and then go for the highest percentage options such as host army exercises. We now have 50% parliament support, so we can select a parliament request, and we're gonna go with fabricate casus belli and get one on the Ottomans, on Cocelli. These are actually not bad agendas. Like, we could lessen levy obligations and pass another action very easily, which is what I'm going to do, but only after we declare the war, so that we actually can raise the levies before making them have a reduction. And sometimes you can get good change policies, but in our case it's not worth it, because you lose dual stability, and by tradition is not a good law to have. Alright, I was waiting a little bit for this. We just got our great power status back. We also now have 100 legitimacy, and it's only 1339. I absolutely love the events that you get after you pass these actions. It's crazy. This might actually be better than releasing everything as your subjects. Now, anyways, we have a claim on the Ottomans. We could declare war, but instead we're going to threaten war. This is available as long as you are a great power and you border a country. And if the country refuses to give up a location to you, you will be immediately brought into the war with them and their allies. In this case, the Ottomans and the Karasids, which is their subject. The Ottomans also managed to take all of this land, which we can take in this war as well, because this is not a simple Parliament CB now that we declared it like that, but we have following through on threat CB, which reduces the cost by 25%, and we can easily full annex the Ottomans, and by doing so also inherit the Karasids. So you want to make sure to declare using this if you border a nation. Now, so the Ottomans are being a little bit aggressive, but they're going after our subjects, and it's not set in stone that they will actually win this battle. We cannot really support our subjects. We have to stick to this siege over here. We'll see what happens. Yeah, unfortunately our boys lost, but that's fine. We basically just need this siege that we're going for right now, and Bursa and the war will be finished. It's just a couple of forts that we need to take over. Shouldn't take too long. I'm gonna take some time to grab a couple more privileges, because they're gonna be very important. Treasury rights for the tax efficiency, and let's grab the passive monthly development. And for the other privileges, hopefully we will just be able to get them through the succession crisis action. This is a really good event. We get the naval reforms, which means additional 10 naval value, and we're now up to 30. So if we get 20 more, we will have a super cool government reform available. They're testing us again. We have another chance to get a really good general, or we could just this time go for a cabinet. I think we're gonna go for the cabinet member, because yeah, if he ends up in the clergy, we're screwed. This time he ended up in the burghers faction. He's got an insane trait as well. I wished that we could actually use this trait and it wasn't ruler only. Now we have the Regency, which is not that bad. Our regent, Anna de Savoie, has decent stats. The main problem is over here. Our crown prince, who is only 7 years old right now, well, he's an idiot. So this means that he basically doesn't get any ability during education, and when he takes over the crown, it's gonna be not pretty. His stats are gonna be horrible. We're getting some more legitimacy, so I'm gonna take the opportunity to grab common militias for the levy combat efficiency. And there we go, guys, the war is finished, so we're taking this full annexation of the Ottomans. We're gonna inherit their subject of Karasids, and we're taking a little bit of money as well. Beautiful. Nearly everything that we took is already fully cored up, because these were our cores, so we don't need to integrate anything, and we're gonna have good control in these lands. I was a little bit scared when I saw this event, but this is actually a good one, because we're going to get 20 serfdom value, so now we're gonna be up to 80, which means we're gonna be able to tax our peasants much more. That is actually interesting. Just notice, Eretnids are free. They're no longer under Jellyrids. So that opens up even more expansion for us in Anatolia. Now guys, after this war, we also unlocked a new estate of Barbaroi, so we're going to take a couple of privileges here as well because they are important, such as allow gatherings, which increases communalism and reduces the stability investment cost. And another really good one is tribal land rights for the monthly prosperity. We are in the age of Renaissance now, so we're going to select the admin focus simply because I think the advances are much better than what we have for Diplo and military. We will get max literacy, legislative efficiency, most importantly proximity cost reduction, and even Deus Vult CB. Now also let's discuss this a little bit. We're going to actually use our advisors to integrate the provinces that we got from the Ottomans. I'm not going to release subjects here because we don't really have that many actions that are necessary. Increasing stability is still good, encouraging communalism is still good, and apart from that we have like 2 free ones that we can use. So let's try and minimize our subjects. We are also in a hurry to repay all of our remaining debt, so we're starting to repay some loans because they reduce our crown power and we're down to just 15% because of the disaster, and of course because we no longer have crown members in our cabinet. So what do we got here? Germanids allied with Chandarids, and we actually have a border with Karamanids because they took over a piece of land here. They also have a couple of alliances. I think we're gonna first go for Germanids. Let's make a casus belli on these guys. So again guys, threaten war and go for the location which they're not going to give up. This time is going to be even easier because we have way more levies, 17,000. So basically I'm just going to use like half of our levies to occupy Germanids and the other half Chandarids at the same time because they have very small armies. I think we might be able to get another casus belli in if we pass a couple of these agendas. Not upsetting the nobles too much, so we are good. Although I don't really want to lose 5 cultural tradition here. Let's rather go for the monastery. I'm gonna claim Karamanids now. Now guys, hear me out. This is going to be a lot of antagonism because the Chandarids are not co-belligerent in this war, but we're still going to vassalize them no matter what coalition we're going to have. Even if later on Egypt joins the coalition, it's not a problem, and I will show you why if that does happen, if they do declare on us. So let's take this and a little bit of money, and we're going for a little nice full annexation of Germanids because I actually would like to split them into at least 2 subjects and not have just one big blob. And Egypt is going to join the coalition, which is totally fine, don't worry. Alright, this war is done. Immediately release subjects, if possible historical ones, such as the Hamidids. We're going to make them a vassal, and then we can re-release Germanids if we want to. I'm pretty sure, yeah, none of these are cored up yet, so we can go ahead and release them. And we now have 2 subjects instead of 1, which means it's going to be easier for us to later integrate them. And of course guys, we are not stopping here. Since we got the claim, might as well go after Karamanids before they join the coalition. Unfortunate thing is they would actually accept whichever location we were to get through threat and war, so we have to go with the regular casus belli, which means it's going to be a bit more expensive to take lands, and I'm not sure if we can full annex them. I guess we'll see. We're going to drag in this tiny nation here as well, so we will potentially take them out. We could go for the Eretnids at the same time, but I think we're fine without it. Maybe we'll just make a separate claim on them. Maybe Trebizond can occupy these boys for us, would be nice. It's time to queue up some new research, and we're gonna go for scholarly treatises first. We're focusing this because it opens up a path for us to get 10% reduction on annexation. So take subject opinions, and then we have titles consolidation. And afterwards we can go for literacy, always good to have, army morale, proximity cost reduction. estate satisfaction. This is like the third or fourth outbreak we had in Constantinople so far. It's absolutely wild, but basically what I do every time is just go for recovery effort and get our prosperity back. Let's not pretend that we really care about antagonism anymore. We're gonna take as much stuff as we possibly can. It's unfortunate, but we cannot full annex Karamanets. We could cancel our demands. We could make them a vassal and take all of it, but having such a massive vassal would be a nuisance. It would be really tough to integrate them late. I would prefer to just take direct land and release a bunch of subjects rather. So yeah, we're gonna go for direct land. Yes, Egypt will be in the coalition along with a bunch of other nations, but we don't care. Let's take our demands. And we're just going to split this land for a bunch of custom subjects once we have the ability to release them. We have to actually wait until we get rid of the crisis, which is actually going to happen pretty shortly as the pretenders are about to rise up in a few months. We even have Bulgaria in the coalition, so actually what we're going to do for a bit is increase our diplo spending, and we're going to try and improve relations with at least some countries such as Hungary, maybe Georgia. Maybe we could actually even get an alliance with Georgia. We have minus 40 right now. So guys, we haven't managed to max out our communalism yet, but we might as well get rid of one of our privileges right now because we're gonna lose all of our peasants' loyalty anyways. So let's get rid of the consolidated corruption, which reduces our max tax and our manpower. We're gonna pay 13 stability and estate satisfaction. Then we don't really care about this. So we got one of the privileges out. We're going to replace it with commoners and administration because it's kind of neutral and it will help us restore some satisfaction. Now we can tax the peasants quite a lot. I'm gonna stick them with 40% loyalty for now, and this is gonna give us a lot of money. And the coalition did declare on us. Bulgaria declared. Now, why I said that this isn't such a big deal. If we go to this war on a peace deal and we offer tribute, we have the chance to exempt them from South tolls in Byzantium, and that means we're going to give up 50 war score, and we already can peace them out. This is all that we need to actually do. I actually wouldn't mind installing their puppet on our throne because she's got actually pretty decent stats, but unfortunately this isn't possible for whatever reason. Oh yeah, I guess they would end up with too much antagonism. Yeah, that's a bit of a pity. It would be nice to have, but we're gonna go with the exemption from sound tolls and we can send the demands, which means the coalition is no longer there. Alright guys, so the pretenders are... How is it already the end of succession? We haven't even defeated them yet, and it's already okay then. I guess I'll take that. Now we actually have two choices. We can have Anna de Savoia get reliance on estates, which reduces crown power by 33%, or we can grab disputed succession, which hurts the estate satisfaction, but it's not as harsh. So I'm actually gonna go with the second option here. A little bit of a problem is that we cannot really raise levies because we have below 25% peasant satisfaction. Guess this might also be why the coalition declared so fast, because they just saw that we cannot raise any levies. We just got hit by the Black Death as well, so what we're gonna do is only segregate the infected. This is going to cost 10 stability, but it's gonna give us disease resistance and also communalism 0.20, which means we now have 95 maximum communalism. There we go. We just crushed our pretender and we no longer have any issues with the disasters. So now we can actually go ahead and release a bunch of vassals. I'm pretty much going to leave the vassals with a maximum of 3 provinces so that they actually have something to do with their cabinet members, integrate the lands, and that they're not too big when it comes for us to later integrate them. You know what guys, I actually don't mind this. Bulgaria just declared the third war of Byzantium succession. Look at this. Minus 75% cost for the defender. Yes, we do not have levies currently, but we can just wait a little bit. Bulgaria isn't that strong. We're gonna be totally fine. So yeah, we're probably gonna full annex Bulgaria now. Is there anything we could grant to the peasants to make this quicker? I really don't want to get any free subjects pushed because it would actually lower our serfdom. There's not much here. There's actually not much. This is actually an insane bait, guys. Now, we have our satisfaction back and we have 12,000 levies ready. So, Bulgaria, you dug yourselves a huge grave. They're gonna be so dead. Like, I feel bad for them. There goes their entire army. That's actually pretty annoying. We have Serbia joining this war, but I'm gonna rob them. I'm gonna take all of their money. Joining this war was definitely a mistake, sir. Get out of here. We have maxed out on our communalism. Let's go for innovativeness push now. And yeah, it's a good time for us to start revoking more of these privileges because it's going to be very cheap to do so now. For example, if we revoke the burghers privilege, it's 29 stability. And we don't care about the satisfaction because we have over 70%. We're gonna immediately get rid of the clergy one as well. And now the nobles are the only ones left with that privilege, which means we're actually gonna be making some really good cash. It's only 400 antagonism, no big deal. Obviously we're going to reduce this a little bit with diplomatic endeavors, but yeah, I'm gonna be taking out the entirety of Bulgaria, just cause we can. Thanks, sir. We can also destroy their patriarchate to improve relations with a ton of countries and also get a nice little bonus of 0.10 monthly religious influence. So we could be releasing entirety of Bulgaria as a historical subject. They would be immediately integrated, we would be making tons of cash from them, but I would prefer still to split them into many different subjects. So I'm only going to release Vidin and then a bunch of custom ones. Alright, it's time for us to reduce our minting, so we're actually going to go for the maximum reduction so we can start reducing our inflation. We are certainly maxing out our Diplo spending. We're going to be improving with everybody around us, apart from the Anatolian nations, which we're going to continue invading. And of course, there is now a lot of subjects with which we need to improve relations. We also can start annexing some of our subjects, such as Thessaly. We're going to start annexation now. It's going to be hard to have good relations with our subjects that have a different religion, so periodically what I will do is switch some of their religion. In a forced religion, this is going to give them 100 liberty desires, so we're not doing it with all of the subjects at once. So we can do like one subject, then restore its loyalty, then do another one, so that we don't create too many problems for ourselves. Alright, our economy is not doing that bad right now, so it's time to start upgrading some buildings. We're gonna start with RGOs, and because we have sufficient lumber in our market and we have the maximum discount, we can freely do that. We don't need to focus on upgrading lumber. So I'm just gonna go ahead and mass expand RGO first. Of course, they are still more expensive because of the inflation, but we cannot really wait all that time until we have this at zero. It's now the end of Black Death. We lost 700,000 pops, which is a lot. Unfortunately, our ruler didn't pass away during it. I was hoping for it because we didn't take any other actions than segregating the infected, but it didn't work out. This is actually a really good parliament debate. We can reduce our inflation by quite a bit, and even if we pass this, we can go for another 2.5% reduction. I would really like to get another Casus Belli as well, so we're gonna try and get 100% support. Alright, there we go. We're working on the inflation. Now let's attack Idinids. I really wanted to go for Eretnids, but we do not directly border them, so we have to take on the smaller fish first. But this is actually going to be 2 in 1. We have this tiny country as well in the war. At some point, we'll have to take the remainder of Greece as well, so we're gonna have to fight Sicily and Naples. We actually do have claims on Albania and Neopatria, so we could do this whenever we want to, really. As long as we keep Epirus as our subject, they're just gonna continue making claims, so it's not really a rush. We can do this whenever. So we already have level 1 Theodosian walls in Constantinople, but this event allows us to upgrade it. 140 ducats, we get another level 1 Theodosian walls and even 10 defensiveness, which is a good value to have for 4 defense, maintenance reduction, fort limit increase. So yeah, we're gonna take this, and now Constantinople is gonna be super defensive with 2 of these walls. Alright guys, we're good to go. We're gonna get rid of this crap now, consolidated corruption of the elite, so we actually will have a strong army. Get rid of this, still have decent satisfaction, and all of our estates are freed. Holy crap, just noticed, Karamanids are still alive in this one single location, town of Burgi. Gonna have to take, and it's so unfortunate because we're gonna actually have to use our parliament to make a claim on it. Or we could just wait until we have the religious war CB and not rush it, because they are Sunni after all, so we could use that. So we annexed one of our subjects, and we're gonna work on the annexation of Karasids next. I did seize a couple of territories from them to cut down on the costs, and of course it's also beneficial because these lands immediately become our cores. So now we just need to get their loyalty back up and we can annex them. And we might just do Arcadia before that. Now regarding wars, I'm looking into wars with Sicily, Naples. We built up a little bit of a bigger navy, so we can actually match theirs. They have only 7 galleys, a bunch of transports. And yes, we will be going for Naples first, simply because we currently only have claims on Albania, on their subject. Unfortunately, they don't have any strong alliances. They only have Provence that has 7,000 levies. So I'm just gonna go ahead and declare right now. Alright, we have enough religious influence to upgrade our patriarchate. We actually have one policy without a law enacted, so we can go for double Sabbath, which is going to give us a little bit of a population growth and even more monthly religious influence. There's actually some pretty strong bonuses available here, so we might check this out later on and maybe switch some of this stuff as well. Beautiful. Let's pick up more claims. Menticids, you're gonna be going down next. We actually have a very good capacity for transports now. We could transport 16,000 levies at once. Would you look at that? Provence has landed with 4,000 units. Well, he's kinda screwed. We're not gonna allow him to leave, and we're gonna take care of this shortly. Where are you at, boy? You still standing there? There we go. We're going to dispatch them real quick. Don't really have a place where they could run, do they? Alright, so we have all of this occupied, all of Albania, all of Greece, and now we can go for the big invasion. It's actually also a decent chunk of war score that we already have with 32%. They have 7,000 units left, so we're absolutely good to go. We're gonna land here in Catanzaro. Oh my god, he actually has his units right next to us. Just occupy this real quick, and you're dead, buddy. You are absolutely done, sir. Yeah, we are done here, guys, and there is a little bit of a problem. We cannot take nearly as much stuff as I imagined we could. The claim that we have is not that great. It gives plus 30% cost for conquering, so yeah, this is all that we realistically can take with a little bit of cash on top of that. So we're just gonna end it here. We're gonna have to do another war with these boys in the future. Alright, so unfortunately we have truces with pretty much everybody right now. Eretnids, Kubadids, everybody here in Anatolia. So what I think we can do is go for Sicily now. We don't have a claim on these guys, so we can just use our parliament for one. And maybe just take it all at once. Just take out Sicily and inherit their subjects. There we go, let's claim them. Threaten war. They actually would be willing to give some stuff up, but we do want to participate in this war. We're gonna have Aragon in here, but Aragon, what can they do really? They do have a lot of levies, but we got it in the bag. We have 17,000 and we have just a crap ton from our massive subjects. They are starting to transport some units. I'm actually not sure why they would just begin with 1,000. Like, this army is just dead. This is a death sentence for them. Okay, so this is done. They're in with another 2,000. Yeah, so I would recommend them to just transport everybody at once. But of course, they're not obliged to follow my recommendations, and we can just crush them like that. Aragon is still trying to make it work, transporting another 3,000. Well, welcome, sir. Keep doing that. The crazy thing is that with that amount of transports, he could probably easily transport 10,000 levies, but he just doesn't do it. Wow, he's actually trying to siege down cons. I just noticed this. What is up with this guy? And I love how much it takes him to actually get any progress here. He starts with minus 85%. The power of our fully employed level 2 Theodosian walls adding 100 additional percent for fort defense. It's insane. It's literally impossible for him to take it down. Alright, with Aragon being down to just 2,000 levies, we're gonna let our subjects finish the work here, and we are invading Sicily. We're landing in Saragossa, take this down first, then we're going to split our army into two halves and we're going after two of their forts. There we go, city of Palermo as well. Alright, we have been building a lot of RGO so far. We're gonna start focusing on some tailor guilds in Constantinople because these are going to bring us a lot of profit. We have a discount for masonry, so I'm just going to build 9 of them right now. Alright, and this is it. We're ready to full annex Sicily, and we will just inherit all of their subjects. Not gonna push this even further. That's just beautiful. What is this one red? Oh my god, this is actually Serbia. Holy crap, how did they even get this? Anyways, we're gonna have to fight Serbia and take this back. Now that we have an establishment in Italy, we get the event landing in Italy, and for 240 ducats we can construct the castle, and it will cost us 100 ducats additionally. This doesn't really make sense, and the benefits are tiny. We get 0.5 development, a little bit of control. I think this is an absolute waste of money. By the way, we're just going to re-release Sicily. So because they have these locations as cores, they lost these to Naples. They should also be making a claim, and we could get another chance to fight Naples without even having to use our parliament. Oh wow, look at that. We actually have the nation of Gothia, and it is a subject of Muscovy. How weird is that? I'm not sure if I have seen Gothia before, and Teodoro and Gothia coexist at the same time. Yeah, so just looking around the map, this is kind of a typical lowlands in this current patch. We have a minor tribe of Baghdad. They have a very similar color to Kurdistan, formable. And looks like Golden Horde is completely dying off. We have a weird situation here in Eastern Europe too, with Polotsk actually owning Vitebsk as a subject, and we have a massive Smolensk actually. I was actually thinking about switching out the theme system because of the Noble's power, but how about we actually try and use this and actually build some Thema headquarters? We can build them in all of our towns, and we have pretty much all the necessary resources, so they're not very expensive. So I'm just going to actually spam them, as that's going to give us a lot of manpower, and we can make a professional army very early with those. We're earning very good money right now. Like, we are still maxed out on stability, maxed out on diplo spending, and we're making 50 ducats right now. So we can afford stuff like this. Oh, and yes, we also have 100 aristocracy. Looking into our values, we have 100 decentralization, which is giving us a lot of loyalty of subjects, estate satisfaction equilibrium. Communalism is nearly maxed out. We have 42 naval push, so if we get another 8, we get a government reform. Serfdom looking good at 77. I really like our values. We could push for a little bit more innovativeness though. We're at 46, and the more you have, the more cultural influence you get. So it actually helps a lot when you annex different culture subjects, and we have a lot of those here in Anatolia, so we do desperately need that. We already are getting a lot of this through burgher privileges, so pretty much if we want to get more, we need to switch some laws, and that's what we're gonna try and focus to our next parliament. So hopefully what's gonna happen through the parliaments, we switch laws and we get Sicily to make a CB for us so we can continue fighting and go after Naples. Alright, so for the laws we can switch out aristocratic court and go for court of culture. Not only we get innovativeness, but also what we just discussed, cultural influence. We don't have that severe problems with our nobles anymore. We have 28% crown power, so I actually don't mind giving them elite council. It's a pretty good privilege overall. And we're gonna do the same thing with our clergy, go for clergy in administration, and this way we will be able to pass a lot of laws and get a lot of casus bellis going forward, as we're going to get massive parliament support to the agendas. We get 23% by increasing our opinion. So we can even go for a second law and go for no censorship. By the way, Sicily, you would like to share some knowledge with us? I would accept that, because we are working on our institutions. We could already get a bank in, but it would cost us 26 stability, so we can actually wait a little bit because we do have still some researches in the queue. We have already 6.61% for professional armies, and we have 9% for Renaissance. Probably Renaissance is going to be the first one we get anyways, because we kind of want to get another slot in our cabinet and of course another government reform. I think this is a decent spot for us to finish today's video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to drop a like, subscribe for more. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I will immediately start recording the second part right now. So if you guys want to see it, let's get 1000 likes and I'll try to drop it immediately. And if not, you might see some other videos in the meantime. In any case, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.